Tazi Kuza Tile Rondo Palazam Endo Pova Samoy Leto Tendo Pulwaragio Toje Dove Tendo Shizo Senatunji Lando Soy Saye Beji George Mando Nai Tirane
California, then same come the dangi, the zengi, then down la veni chuturia. Lojongi consul to the Yache, then ditch to the Dosi, Penjasuyo, the Dani, to burn in the Injimiji, our Cherokee and Cherokajuji, subject Madons Cheroches to entering the Gentry, so then do Pochamo, Jazuma Dico, Marshu and the G. Any the Yelma Session Destiny, she don't pause in the Tigdy. Any suggesting that you the bird and that pause, my own picture. Birds and some of them birds of bird. The Kawapo was the Korean language, the number sheep come the Namshi, the Tagwation Sangi of Amation, the Boyadela, and the pause. One of the spoke words that did have the poetic Dama on the go. And the Power Chebala, and in Podanti Rangi. Any that's also Luguna number she would do Lambra would take in a pokers and Lamdi any Zahuma, Soki, Zahuma Lamaya, Royache. Guarda che ne dorsana, and you tambune, ya dogoya chikodi. Or dine yam royata, and the cola poego de shedi, and Narobegi, Goke Kore Kargui, Goji Chagi Chimbolo, Goke and the Goji Mia Povetamais, Nazu Lula, Goke Yoris, Mingi, Amjoni, Kan Nawu, any Walla Tene Sanglam, Kani, Dijindu, Kundebe Yoris. The Gay Karun, then Aranzo, Shibera, Namshi Tambiena, and the Ritu Karun in Neru Giares. When the boy gay car, the logic chairs, got you with the colors, and also any Changbe Pugan and Chipwaters. That's how we progress in the condition with each other, and also Purge mentioned the way, and the ones in the Dawu Pito Kubajik, and Nazi Union Party, and the Guruka, you said, did Ziggy there. In a poet dinners and around them get two talkers, isn't there's name them said, Buchin Jugan Soga. Chongma or Dimo General, the Sampu Zigudo. There's Dimo General, Kiki or Dida Woginana, and Namshiti, Poyati, Poet Damasi.
So, the main reason for my visit to America this year, actually, I was in the US last year, but I came again this year to attend the seems like the 15th anniversary of the California Department of Mental Health, which is having some kind of function on May 26th, so I'm speaking there. And then I decided to take a little bit extra time to come over here to Chicago. And last year, Drupal Rinchen Dorje had asked that had requested that we hold the Monkey teachings here in Chicago. So the main topic for today is the Drukung Kagyu Poa teachings called Inserting the Stalk of Wild Grass, specific Poa teachings. So when we think about this word Poa, if we give a little bit of explanation about Poa, Poa, the word in Tibetan, Poa, literally means to move from one place to another, or to transfer something, or literally to move, like moving your residence or something. So, and it's actually a future form of the verb, so it's a future tense, like will move, and the past tense is spelled differently. So, in general, when we're talking about why do we call this practice moving or transferring, transference, is because what we're trying to do is at the time of death to transfer our consciousness from our body to Buddha Amitabha's Pure Land. So we're trying to affect this kind of transfer or movement. And how do we do that? So we do it through the pith instructions of Poa practice, which give us the way in which we can actually transfer our consciousness, which is present within our physical body. How can you transfer it to the Pure Land? What is the pathway? So the pathway, the path that needs to be traveled then is the central channel. The central channel runs up the very middle, the very center, the very middle of your body. And so then what's the doorway? How does it exit the body? It exits through what is called the Brahma aperture, the Brahma opening around the crown of your head. So actually, in the 6 yogas of Naropa, Naropa taught that for Poa, we have to close the doors, close the 8 doors and open the 1 door. And so what this means is that our body has 8 openings, or 8 apertures. So 2 eyes, 2 ears, nose, mouth, and 2 lower openings. So whichever one of these at the time of death, if your consciousness exits through any one of these, you will be reborn in one of the 6 realms of samsara. So Naropa says we should close the 8 doors and instead open the 1 door. And what he means by this 1 door is to open the Brahma aperture, the Brahma opening at the crown of the head. And so how, in terms of the exact position of this Brahma aperture, there's one tradition in the Tibetan medical tradition gives a certain explanation, but in terms of the POA instructions, it tends to be, in terms of POA instructions, it's located more at the soft spot, where a baby has a soft spot after it's born. So it's sort of slightly forward from the exact middle point of the crown of your head. And so this is the door that we're trying to open to allow the consciousness to be transferred at the time of death.
Dine pawa jesu ma di lugyu du shu na di thurap da gebe kala nga shu nang da zu lugyu nang be chu nga shu ji ni sanga ni me ko su do ba. Dana guru rinpoche dana thoma dana samye de cheso de zeng den de shu nang be de ma thoma ko su dingel po pe chu ba. O de su be di gabla ne da samye de xiang cha yue sa de. An guru rinpoche samye chimbu lu shu be gabla. Ane lumbu mabu juye na chuna da lumbu jik de ne lumbu nyima singen di. Ane lumbu nyima singen de kong da pyo de yasa ku sa pa pogu yorwa dine chi pu du ini Kurang zo wa na dina kong ji da chi bu ru Kurang ji bu jik jala de dunjuk mabu chi kha drobe kabla da de du lo yo ma de du drame si ki yo da me dan ki chen do wa de de yin du din ya ni ji du ane me che le ha ba chi me sho and Koraji made a says in Tapi Mabuchi and Chematu, and Samuchi in Misama Yede Yosare, and this one's Korangi, Nami Pomo Josum, Tatula, Sopo Korana, Mabuchi, and Tunim to say to Cheche. The Jesse Gang and Chun, the Indu then called by Hindu the Dumia, that's also Pam, Master, some of the less Cheson, something Hindu Dunga Nazi, Mugaji, and then the Jesse Muji Devagala, any. Teson de Zengi, then took it my server, and then Tadi Lumbu doing it together, Chidu in Poet Nabati, and Guru Saria, Shu Naje, Chungenda would the
So, regarding the history of this particular POA instruction called inserting the stalk of wild grass, so the Jikinkage POA, it dates, the history begins in the 8th century, so that makes it one of the earliest Dharma teachings in Tibetan history. And so in the 8th century, it's still, again, this very early period in the Dharma in Tibet. And so it actually is a period where the secret mantra teachings of the Nyingma, or the ancient traditions, are flourishing. And Guru Rinpoche had just recently been invited to Tibet to build Samye Monastery at the request of the Emperor Trusum Detsen. So this was the moment when Buddhism really takes firm root and begins in Tibet. Previous to that, Tibetan religion was the Bön religion. So in any case, at this point, Guru Rinpoche was residing at Samye. And there were many, the Emperor Trusum Detsen was there as well. There were many of his ministers and attendants. And there was one particular minister named Minister Nima. And so at that time, in Tibet, people had like summer residences and winter residences. So at the point where Minister Nima was moving his household from, for the season change, he was, I guess, at one point, I think at night, in his storehouse, kind of getting things ready for the move. Because there was, of course, no electricity, he was there carrying a torch, so he had a flame that ended up setting the storehouse on fire. It was late at night, and he was by himself, and so he tried various things to put out the flames, but eventually it became this huge fire that ended up killing 13 members of his household, his children and parents. and also many horses and donkeys and so forth. So he was completely overwhelmed with grief at the misfortune, the tragedy that had occurred. And he furthermore was thinking, now I've accumulated karma of immediate retribution. I've killed my parents. And he was incredibly depressed and kind of sunk in this darkness. And so at that point, Emperor Chusung Dezin was quite concerned about his minister and was worried. And so he went to Guru Rinpoche and asked for the Poa instructions as a way to help Minister Nima.
Tang lu ni me tu nge su na shin ki tele kyo ba sim jen shan da tele kyo ba tap na ro che sui ba ka lo lo tu dam shu yu ta ne bu jong jo na ji xie xie be su na de ne lu ro bu che tu dam ga na du ji da wa ji de shin ko pe ni ne pa ba da ba je su ma shu yi de di xi di ka na de ka ge di lu bu ni ma ji bu ma zo xian su li ya de ka mes ne Guru Rinpoche de lu bu ni ma ma do ge bo这说的是呀，马那么一不的，的确是你如果地盘点的呗，点的呗讲了，他们的他们啊，他宁波的，俺古人不去查个新来的，他们查的是那是孙子，看到一些说业务的年纪，如果孙子的新带来了嘛，那么提呢，俺去到了么对个地呢，他那个为家个出门的那么点的呗。That Rugia Zona Regent, that when a mound between Lumini Mentene, Gavani the Sanchez, you will tell a Turshi, the Kaya the Church, then get the bears.
So at this point, Emperor Chusung Dezin went to Guru Rinpoche and asked for a teaching that would be able to benefit Minister Nima, that would be able to alleviate his grief and also might be able to benefit other sentient beings in the future as well. And so Guru Rinpoche entered into a meditative state in which he actually traveled to the Western Pure Land of Buddha Amitabha and received these Poa instructions. And then when he gave these teachings, but he gave them with the restriction, or they were sealed such that Guru Rinpoche instructed that only Minister Nima could receive them at that moment. And so it seems like Guru Rinpoche didn't even teach them to Emperor Chusung Dezin. So he gave them only to Minister Nima, and then upon that they hid them as a treasure teaching. So they wrote down the essential pith instructions of the teachings using the ink that was actually blood from Guru Rinpoche's nose. And then they were written with a hair from from his finger, from the ring finger. So a drop of blood from the ring finger. They were written using a hair of Yeshe Dzogyo, and then they were written on a palm leaf from the tala tree, and then sealed in several layers of seals and caskets, and then hidden at a lake called the Black Mandala Lake, and entrusted to Dharma Protector with the prophecy that in the future Minister Nima would take rebirth as a treasure revealer named Nida Sangye, and that he would be the one to reveal these teachings.
And some German which is that Yang Wu user. Indeed, San Gil by Mengosi Jenny, and he can ask them their machi. And the Simjin Shiva the Zut and the Pembe Tamandi is Poveta, but now Laria, the Talakam will give you some and I was dead to hear, and a Guni. Then the cherkiene any mende talakabana deptune any mingla deptune in the sanje stop. Odinde chen then Thoma Lu to Damate, Sugar Lubukangi, then Danyam Chetu, then Jala Sopa, then was our Dama, which you open a Kaju Sheba, that day. In the Shugoya Cup there. In the Nudunian, Deptune, the Sankin, Power Chimney, does not like you, Tang Chilla, Mimabu Mavs, Tamade, and Chicus, Petty Mira, doing yes in the Chungsha. The issue will attend Dungi, Cambuchi, Yung Zinjing, the Namjum Pinzo Shunya, the Nema, the Deschung, and Dungi, Chazan, Chungzan, Gudo Tambo, the Nema, those children, Dungi Subjuna, Shu, Jitangi, and the Dermarangi, the Regent Zonal, the Buddhigalax of Dina Shu, in the Give Gababrabachi, Desma, Chiku, Chuni, and Digungi, Subjuna shoes and Digumpa Chamos, and Chamos, then you jello mix a good rabuchi, and then was Pipi Yubata, and then Tumbata, the just simple shape bata, and then Kadan de Malas of the Novata, Jello Sijulas of Ros, Chubu, what the devil with them, which is then, and Jello Kajus mix a Chechin, the Suyode. The destin any Chidalo Jungi Galan, Nima Dunjis and the Damanda, Kajushandai, this is to stage Chungade, and it had look to Duce Duxere, and in a data Tamga Mamadama Shui, and the Yadibad Malcolm the Shu, Nyabo, Komki, Nyabosh, the
So about 350 years later, Minister Nima was reborn as a goat herd. And so he was named Jimmy Lodo. And he was spent most of his time herding goats and sheep and so forth. And so from time to time an animal would die, and he would be overwhelmed with grief. He would just on the mountainside start crying over his animals and their deaths. And so at one point he was crying about a goat that had died, and he had a vision of Buddha Amitabha. And Buddha Amitabha said, "Don't worry about this, and I have an instruction for you," and he gave him the Poa instructions. And then furthermore, he told him to go to Dakla Gampo, an area in southern Tibet, to the Black Mandala Lake, where he could find these Poa, the treasure teachings. And so he did this. He went and he brought the treasure teachings out of hiding, and was eventually received the name Tertin Nida Sangye, the treasure revealer Nida Sangye. Then he began practicing these teachings, and for the first several generations, these teachings were given just to one person at a time. So it was he started practicing these teachings and had all kinds of amazing signs like rainbow lights and so forth. And then at the end of his life, he ended up going directly to the Pure Land, and so without leaving his body behind. So in any case, so it was quite successful. In any case, Nida Sangye, from his time forward for a few generations, these teachings were given just to one practitioner at a time. So it was like a kind of single lineage, or a single teacher for a single disciple, and so forth. But then eventually, after several generations, these teachings passed to a Drikung Khenpo named Namjung Punso, and from him he taught them to the first Drikung Chatsang and Chungsang Rinpoches. And eventually, these teachings became part of the profound teachings of the Drikung Kagyu tradition. And they are also included in the Rinchen Tertsu, which is like over 100 volumes of collected treasure teachings. But because the lineage kind of came to the Drikung tradition, it's often called the Drikung Kagyu Poa, and it's included in the special teachings associated with the Drikung Kagyu tradition. So then, in terms of the monkey year teachings, the monkey year is traditionally said to be a very holy time for Guru Rinpoche because it's said to be the year in which that Guru Rinpoche was born, the year in which he came to Tibet, also the year in which he departed to the land of the Rakshasas. So there are many important events with Guru Rinpoche that recorded in the different histories that occur in the monkey year teachings, and so it's said to be a very special time. And because of this, a long time ago they started the monkey year teaching tradition in Drikung. So it happens once every 12 years, every monkey year, and it's usually held for 7 or 8 days. And there are more teachings. The kind of main teaching is the Drikung Po, but there are several other teachings that are given in this time as well. So just by way of a brief background on the monkey year teachings. So now I'm going to give you the main pith instructions for the poet, the transmission for the poet instructions. And so we'll be meditating a bit, and then I'll give an explanation for the next part, and then we'll meditate on that, and we'll go back and forth like that.
Ini power wishi tambama malo kana desi desu na thoma di tene kelazo lu ne jisun doji ne jorma ko yo jisun doji ne jorma di ini doji phamo intana lu ne party yo na shin ini kita doji phamo de nam yu yume ga de shin 耶稣公庙的这里也干了些的有公，我是公庙，一干的，一开发机构的，但现在起来都是，一旦国内干了，他们干了是属于那么有的，那现在预备丰富的，他们要的是可能这个样嘛，吧？拿出去的，拿了卡开门给，那能新的东巴这个，有一个那么几。 苏古语吧，拿了来新面嘛，拿了，的说不得的的起苏古长嘛三呀，语吧记了，要哪边就就面嘛去，哪边土呀面嘛，完了这是拿来新面嘛去的，唯一不同的去，这是可能这个，第一起了不同的去。 To begin with the Poa instructions, first we should all visualize ourselves in the form of Vajrayogini and Vajravarahi. And so she looks the way she normally does, with one difference, which is that normally she's standing on her left leg and has pulled her right leg up. But in the Poa practice, she's actually standing on her right leg. The right leg is the one touching the ground, and her left leg has been pulled up. I'm wondering if there's in any case, when we visualize ourselves as a Yudam deity, here, as you're visualizing yourself as Vajravarahi, you don't visualize yourself in your ordinary flesh and blood body, but rather it's a body that is, empty, naturally empty, and has also nothing inside of it. It's also empty
kind of like physically empty, and it's an appearance of a luminous appearance, a body of light actually, that is, it appears, it can be seen, but it's actually empty by nature. And so, although it appears very clearly, you can see it quite distinctly, it's not something that can be touched. You can't reach out and touch it. So it's like a body of light. So this is the outer form that you visualize.
네, 네 소수기 루부 나로들라 아니 광바 동바 이거지. 뒤지에요 말바다 나로 낭초도 수요 말 동바 나로라 아니 기 갑도 되는 자오마 차범다 용진부 잠슨다 다뉴도 다다 범tung 디게스. 아니 야르긴네서 창부 마르긴네서 상대 수바스 상대스 대외 월 소시지 이제 주요 봐. 닝기 카드에는 책 뉴메 책이 잡아다 보시지. 책 디가라 아니 메도 남아시바 세 메도 다버지 남아시바 마버지. 닝게 카드데 디가라 랑 남아시바 춘시 아니 자만다버지 아니 도보 양식 요가 팔라게 봐. num싱치요. 그지 닝게 카드 랑 남시 춘야지. 어디 나로 보면지.
So then your body, again, is like empty inside. So it's not filled with inner organs or anything. But rather you have then running up through the very center of the body is the central channel. And it opens at the crown of the head, at the Brahma aperture. And then it is closed at the secret place, which means 4 fingers below the navel. It's closed. And at the bottom, and then in terms of diameter, it's about the size of like an arrow, like a bamboo arrow shaft. And then at the level of the heart center is like a notch, like you find in bamboo, like a joint, where upon that notch is a four-petaled red flower, and upon that is a little ball that represents your consciousness, like the size of a pea. That's extremely light and kind of as if it's like volatile. It's as if about to bounce upwards. It's light and vibrating. And kind of glowing, and resting, just lightly resting on top of the flower.
다들 지속 띵라 아니 지속 창봉 야동 같이 와서 강백 거군 쳐다 유비체 이 나라 다디 카투데요 디 간데 상계 요바미 슈요레라 상계 요바미 지순 창봉 공부 쉬고나 신 샤갸가 쉬고나 신체 엔디 샤비 테모데 라이 창봉 이간디 까이버지 마 까이버지 이간디 까면 요바 이제 셋업 다한테 상계 요바미 봐 상계 요바미 지우르 기벨라마 되게체 엔팀 공부를 붙이는 마 기벨라마 되 디팅라 상계 주스면 탐제 슈기 버세다야 되시네.
So now at the crown of your head, at the Brahma aperture where the